If you want to support your Kansas City Nidokings, get a shirt with the logo slapped on it and put it on your body. It's pretty cool. Link on the screen and in the description below. What is going on, dudes? I'm the team coach of Kansas City Nidokings, and today we have our IBL Season 4 Week 7 Team Prep versus Odds in the Memphis Bewears. So I'm going to be going over the team that I built. This team was entirely built by me. No help from anyone else. Literally none. Built this all myself, and I think the team turned out very nicely. So, yeah, so first I should go over his team because I felt I have a good matchup advantage. Starting off, his team is Tapu Bulu, Mega Camerupt, Gliscor, Lucario, Mantine, Mimikyu, Druddigon, Musharna, Greninja, and Raichu. Now, overall, 2 Pokemon, as soon as I saw that, immediately screamed, okay, you're gonna have a field day again. And it's kind of the same 2 that have always had the best matchups against our, like, entire season. So, anyway, yeah, so I think we can get started here. One thing to keep in mind is the majority of his team is, well, not the majority of his team, he's got very interesting speed tiers. He's got 2 Pokemon sitting around 90, then a lot of Pokemon sitting between 70 and 50, around there, and then Greninja and Raichu being at 110 and 122, respectively. Alright, I said those backwards, 122 and 110, respectively, so kind of interesting speed tiers, but yeah, so I'm gonna give you a hint. Today's team is pretty slow. Yeah, so first up we have Welkin the Nidoking holding a Life Orb with Sheer Force, Earth Power, Ice Beam, Sludge Wave, and Thunderbolt. So I did a little bit of calcing, and Sludge Wave has a very, very high chance to kill, even with Tapu Bulu holding a Kebia Berry, which is, if you remember in the IPBL where we had Terrakion and the Tapu Bulu lived on a little bit of health because of that Kebia Berry, so Earth Power just does a ton to his team. Mega Camerupt does not want to take that. Obliterates Lucario. Mimikyu, obviously, it'll remove its disguise if it already hasn't been removed. It'll do decent damage to Druddigon. Musharna's obviously untouched by it. Obliterates Raichu. Should do a decent amount to Greninja, especially because it's still stab. Ice Beam I mainly brought because of the Gliscor, because otherwise I don't have much for it, even though Gliscor would take, well, actually, it resists Sludge Wave, is immune to Thunderbolt and Earth Power, so it couldn't take any of those. So it helps that I'm not, you know, whatever you call it, choice into anything. And then Thunderbolt was mainly for Mantine, and it hits Greninja pretty well too, even though Sludge Wave kills Greninja as well. And I can live a hit from his special attackers, except maybe Mega Camerupt Earth Power. I didn't really calc that, but I believe that I would, well, no, I don't believe, I'm not even sure if I would live that, because I can live a max special attack, Scald, and Ice Beam from a Greninja. So, pretty cool stuff. And enough speed to outspeed max speed Bulu, max special attack with a modest nature, a good amount of HP, so I have an odd number, and the remaining 8 were put into each defense stat respectively, so they all get boosted by 1 point. That's about it for Welkin. I think Welkin will have a very, very good battle. Next up, we have Megan Foxy Altaria holding, well, I don't need to say that, Earthquake, Return, Roost, and Dragon Dance. So once again, we have a Dragon Dance set with 1 Dragon Dance that outspeeds his entire team. Barring any choice Scarfers that by default are faster than Megan Fox. I don't think Flash Cannon would kill though. Anyway, not important. So Earthquake, as I already said, does a ton of damage. It basically does the same thing as Earth Power, a little bit stronger, and on the physical side, should absolutely demolish Mega Camerupt. Lucario, obviously, no worries about that. It'll do a bunch of damage to everything it can hit, pretty much, except for he's got 1 Pokemon that it hits that would resist it, wouldn't it? Bulu. And if grassy terrain is up, Earthquake won't do much of anything. Obviously, Roost is so I can get my health back. So this thing isn't going to be dead in the water at some point. Even I may sack it off, obviously, if I need to, and if I don't need it anymore. But Return absolutely demolishes his team. He's got, I think, Mega Camerupt and Lucario are his only resistances to it, and yeah, it's really, really good. This thing's gonna wreck his team. I didn't obviously need a Dragon type move, and then Dragon Dance, get up. 1, I'm in really good shape. 2, nothing's living. Megan Fox will run through his team. Anyway, I think actually Lucario gets Bullet Punch. I was thinking about it in my head. And I know it also gets Vacuum Wave. Anyway, enough speed, outspeed, max speed. Bulu, once again with a Jolly Nature so I can put less in speed. Max attack, this thing's gonna hit like a freaking truck. Ton of HP, or not ton, a good amount of HP, so this thing has an odd number HP stat. And then the remaining 8 in the defense stat. So, once again, Altaria is such a good Mega Pokemon. I mean, it makes sense why it was top OU back in Orez. So, it's a great Pokemon. Its typing is also amazing, Dragon Fairy, so yeah, that's enough gushing about Megan Fox the Altaria. Anyways, next up we have Combo the Skuntank once again. I actually have, as of recording this, have not had my Week 6 battle, because I'm kind of waiting on said opponents because of scheduling conflicts and other things. So I do not know how Skuntank ended up doing in that match. Same with Vulcan and Megan Fox. I'm just speculating that the two of them will have another good match like they did last week. Which is a guess. Anyways, we're rocking Normal Gem with Stench, Crunch, Play Rough, Poison Jab, and Explosion. Now, Explosion and Normal Gem are there because there's nothing super something that super threatens Skuntank on the special side, so I don't really need to run the Assault Vest here. I decided to just run a bunch of HP investment, and this thing, I don't know, I'm not entirely sure if I can live the Earth Power from the Mega Camroutes, but I'd like to get a nice, the explosion off on that anyway. Crunch does a pretty decent amount of damage to the majority of his team. Poison Jab obliterates Blue. I don't think it kills with the Kebia Berry. I could be wrong because obviously this thing gets stabbed while Terrakion didn't. Play Rough, super effective on Greninja. Druddigan, yeah, that's really about it. Those are the best physical moves this thing really gets, are these 4. And, yeah, I could have gone for Knockoff, but I don't really feel like it. Didn't really need it. I think Crunch is better in this situation. So we have a bunch of HP investments, so I have an odd number HP stat with max attack with an Adamant Nature. This thing is going to hit very hard with a little bit in special defense just because I had that left over, and you know what? Might as well help my Skuntank live a little better than it would have anyway. And that's about it for combo. I'm able to go through this squad very quickly and very methodically because I literally just built this like 15 minutes ago. And I recorded the Week 16 prep, and then battle was supposed to happen, then it didn't happen. Actually, when you're seeing this, we will already be back. Never mind. We took a week break between Week 6 and 7 because some other people in the league needed to get caught up. Uploads, and the analysts are slacking and such. So anyways, I don't even know why I'm talking about this, but that is it for combo. Next up, we have Paramore, the Serena, making her first appearance in a little while with the Soul Vest, Queenly Majesty with U-turn, Rapid Spin, High Jump Kick, and Drop Kick. Now, overall, this thing just is really well matched up against this team. He doesn't have a ton that wants to take this thing on, except for Mega Camerupt, and that's about it. Now, U-turn is just obviously a pivot move. There's really no reason for it other than to get a better matchup. If he switches with the Sing and such. Rapid Spin is to get rid of Stealth Rocks, because he has a bunch of Stealth Rockers on this team. Gliscor, Camerupt, Druddigan. I don't know if other things get any sort of spikes, but Rapid Spin will get rid of those too. High Jump Kick hits very nicely on his team. Hits Camerupt fairly hard. Obliterates Lucario. Does a ton of damage to Greninja. It does a good amount of damage to most things except Mimikyu, which obviously it's immune, so I need to be careful about that. If he ends up bringing the Mimikyu, I need to be careful with clicking High Jump Kick. Drop Kick, I'm mainly bringing it because it does have the chance to lower the attack. Well, no, it's not. It's guaranteed, I'm pretty sure, to lower the attack. And it's not that much weaker than Seed Bomb, so it's overall still a good move. And it's also Paramore's, signature. That was the word I was looking for. Obviously, Queenly Majesty also prevents priority moves. I don't really know if anything but Lucario gets a priority move. Mimikyu is Shadow Sneak, I suppose. But Mimikyu would outspeed this thing anyway. Maybe Raichu with, quick attack. Greninja gets something. Yeah, that's about it. So that's pretty much enough HP so that we have a odd number with a little bit in special defense, just to help out the assault vest a little bit, and then max attack with an adamant nature, so it's gonna hit pretty hard. Paramore is obviously the weakest link in the squad, mainly because this thing is not a win con, but I felt it worked better than Jolteon, and spoiler, Jolteon's not coming this week, which is real surprising because I love that Pokemon now. Anyway, just because he has a couple ground types that can wall it very nicely. Next up, we have Bert, once again holding Choice Band with Close Combat, Earthquake, Stone Edge, and Ice Punch. Now, you're probably wondering why I'm not running Poison Jab. Bulu cannot one-shot Sock, and Sock outspeeds with the amount of HP I put it, or amount of speed I put in it. And Ice Punch does about 80%, so I can hit him with 2 Ice Punches and knock him out. I don't have to really worry about that. Mainly, I did need the Poison Jab because that's only for the Bulu. Bulu, nothing else really needs that. Stone Edge is very nice for the Mantine because Mantine still takes a shit ton from Close Combat. It takes over half with the Choice Band. That's freaking crazy. Well, that's a chance to. It's like 47 to 51, and if Stealth Rocks are up, it's a Tuco. So, Bert packs a goddamn punch. As I said, Close Combat hits the majority of his team for at least neutral, and, well, I say that, but, like, let's see. Musharna resistant, Mimikyu is immune, Mantine and Gliscor, resist, and so does Bulu. So, Bulu still doesn't want to, like, a couple of them still don't want to take it. Obviously Mimikyu can because it's a fighting type move on a ghost type Pokemon, but I'm also bringing Mold Breaker in case he decides to send in Musharna, predicting an Earthquake. It ignores Disguise. That is also a very good thing. So, I didn't think about that originally when I did that. I was mainly thinking the Musharna because, like, predicting an Earthquake. That's really nice. If I predict correctly, I can probably OHKO the Mimikyu, because Mimikyu is not a bulky Pokemon, and Salt hits like a truck. So, as I already said, enough speed to outspeed Bulu with max attack and the rest in HP, so I have an odd number, and that is about it for Sock there. So, Sock's, once again, most likely going to have a really good match. And then, finally, who missed out on last week, is 707 the Skarmory, holding leftovers with Sturdy, Brave Bird, Stealth Rock, Roost, and Rock Slide. Brave Bird is just... Sorry, punch my mic. It's a typical stab move, hits a good amount of his team for at least neutral, which is really nice, actually. Raichu, actually, looking at it, Lucario doesn't even resist it. Raichu is his only resistance to it. Anyway, very nice. Stealth Rocks I like to get up because that would help chip down the Mega Camerupt. It would just help chip down some of his bulky Pokemon that could be very detrimental and get them to a point where one of my sweepers can knock it out. Roost is obviously so this thing can be an annoying Pokemon and stick around. And then Rock Slide is mainly because I didn't have anything else that I really needed to put on this guy. Does it get knockoff? No, I might get... No, it doesn't. So, we're not even going to worry about that. I put a bunch of special defense. I'm trying to remember exactly. I specifically built this guy to be able to live... Was it a flamethrower from the Camerupt? Oh, I remember. This thing was supposed to have the Akka Berry. With the Akka Berry, it can live a Fire Blast from the Camerupt, so I can guarantee get my Stealth Rocks up. So, yes. Luckily, I don't really need to get that gen onto the Pokemon because I have a ton of them, because I... randomly, when I boot the game up, I just go into Pokebella Go and do a bunch of crap and such, so. Anyways, obviously the Akka Berry allows me to live a fire type attack. The Fire Blast ends up doing about, I think it was like 70 to 80, somewhere around there. Maybe a little bit more, but, yeah. You know what? I'm gonna go back to leftovers. I forgot I gave it Sturdy. That guarantees me to live one at least, as long as Stealth Rocks aren't up. Even if I get burned, as long as I get my rocks up, we're good. You know, actually thinking about it now, if I have that Sturdy, do I really want to make this thing a specially defensive Pokemon? Do I need that? I do need a specially defensive Pokemon, but I don't need it to be 707. So, I think we can just basically make you a physically defensive Pokemon, and the team is a bit gen, luckily, so I'll get that we can get that squared away. So this thing is going to be my physical now. I gotta do a little thinking about what I want to do specially, because obviously I have Paramore here with the Assault Vest, but against Camerupt, it can't take a hit against Camerupt. That's going to be it for this team prep, guys. Really hope you all enjoyed it. Did appreciate it. I believe that we will have a good week. We don't have as good of a matchup as we did last week, but I do think that Altaria and Nidoking will do a lot of work for us, and that we will have a pretty good week out with this squad. So, really well enjoyed. If you did appreciate it, make sure to subscribe for more, and let's go Nidokings.